Coronavirus in Brazil. What's going on? I'm Kenya Wiswester. This is our Bulletin Breaking News English edition. Brazil is at the center of international news about the coronavirus pandemic. Most news describes how the public health system is collapsing, the lack of vaccines, or how the whole crisis is due to an absence of leadership from the federal government. To quote Denzel, if you don't read the news, you are uninformed. If you read the news, you are misinformed. Here is what's really going on in Brazil. While it is true that the Brazilian public health system is collapsing, it is important for you to know that the health system has always functioned at or above maximum capacity during all years prior to the pandemic. You can see in these charts from previous years. Getting into an ICU in Brazil is a difficult process. A recent study by the World Bank found most Brazilians' public hospitals substandard, delivering inefficient, poor quality care with long wait times for complex procedures. The collapse of the healthcare system in a pandemic was to be expected in Brazil. It's not because of the variant P1, the Brazilian variant. The international media is going with this narrative to scare you too. Media attacks President Bolsonaro for inefficiency in fighting the pandemic and lack of leadership. What they not inform you of is that in April of 2020, the Brazilian Supreme Court, an extremely politicized institution, decided that the adoption of measures to fight the coronavirus, such as lockdown degree, mandatory use of masks, social distance, and so, should be made at the states and municipal level. The federal government then made large transfers of money to the states. All 27 governors received billions from the federal government. What do they do with their money? That's the question millions of Brazilians are asking without an answer. The media has no interest in finding out. Instead, they just blame the president. Clearly, there was not a lack of money from the federal government. There is, however, a lack of decency and honesty from the left. Recently, the Brazilian Public Prosecutor's Office asked for a criminal investigation into governors and mayors. According to the entity, if the governors had used the federal funds correctly to fight the pandemic, Brazil would have around 250,000 ICU beds. Today, the country only has a third of those. Instead, building new ICU beds, this leader's effort concentrated on taking away constitutional rights from the citizens. A theater of horrors from these incompetent tyrants includes this video. With English subtitles, where Brazilian mayors, most of them on the left, asks for help, money, equipment, and vaccines from the international community. After the mismanagement of the Brazilian taxpayer money, they want to do the same with money from other countries and their citizens. It's unbelievable. Pathetic. What about vaccines? The federal government signed a provisional measure for the purchase of vaccines in August of 2020. The Congress and Senate did not approve the release of that money until December. They took 4 months approving a budget to purchase vaccines in the middle of a pandemic. It shows how concerned they were, or rather were not, with the lives of the Brazilians. And now, the narrative is that Brazil purchased vaccines late. Do you get it? Do you get the game? Yet, Brazil is ranked 4th by our world in data among nations for the total number of vaccination received by its people. The country started to vaccinate on January 14, Just recently, they broke the record of 1 million Brazilians being vaccinated per day. The Bolsonaro administration had secured a total of 563 million vaccine doses by the end of 2021. Why the media doesn't talk about this? Because they are dishonest. Brazilian media is so horribly dishonest. Just this week, a media outlet was spotted faking open pits in a cemetery. The same images are being used around the world to report about Brazil's crisis.
Moço, eu tô filmando tudo, que na hora que eles botar na televisão eu vou postar e falar que é mentira. Eu tô filmando aqui, ó. Tem nem dele mesmo, com o cara que vigia aí, tudo. É trouxão. Quer filmar eu, tio? Pode filmar aí, ó. Levantou a câmera aí. Bobão mesmo. Olha lá, agora vai fechar o buraco simulando que tá enterrando, né? Tem corpo aqui, ó. Não tem nem ninguém aqui sendo enterrado, ó. Não tem cortejo fúnebre, não tem nada, ó. Tudo normal, tudo normal. Vamos ver. Só fingindo.